Hello everyone, my name is Steven Zapata. I'm a concept artist, illustrator, online art teacher, and former instructor at Art Center College of Design. I would like to introduce you to my new drawing course, Form from Imagination, a course designed to help you draw with confidence from your mind. Maybe you want to be a professional illustrator or designer, maybe you want to be a master with a pencil, or maybe you just want to be the best artist that you can be. Beautiful goals. But it's not always clear how to improve the work that you do from imagination. Over the past 6 months, I've taken all of the little eurekas, tips, and essential exercises that gave me confidence drawing from my mind and compiled them into a sequential course. We start with the absolute foundations, covering the scientific nature of light and shadow, how to hatch, how to create flat tones, how to render spheres and cubes, and step by step, we move through combined shapes, complex shapes, organic shapes. We cover how to simplify extremely complex subjects like the head into basic shapes so that you can handle them more easily from your head. We look at how to understand and treat details. And by the end of these 14 chapters with over 50 video lessons, you'll be ready to do complex designs from your mind with fidelity and energy. And all the demos are done in pencil on paper, so you can do all of the assignments even if you don't have a fancy digital art setup. But I also have demos, instructions, and modifications to the assignments for those who do want to do them digitally. Here's how it works. Go to formfromimagination.com and sign up for the course. Download the assignment book and start watching the lectures. Do the assignments at your own pace. Take your time with them and use this self-study to develop your patience. When you're done, post your assignments in the exclusive community hub, and I'll personally critique your work with drawovers, diagrams, and advice. I want you to know, this course is no joke just because it's online. It is challenging content, and it is more complete than it would be if I was teaching this class at an art college as I have before. If I was teaching this class in person at Art Center today, I would just play these videos in class, knowing full well that they're the most concise, focused, edited, step-by-step way to convey the material. So I'm serious when I say, this course isn't just a substitute for a college-level course, it's better than a college-level course. And you don't have to pay thousands of dollars per credit and wind up hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. So thank you for checking out the course, thank you for watching this and for your support, and thank you for drawing and making your artwork. The world needs it. I'll see you soon.
Come in. Oh.
Hello, Joseph, is it?
Hi, Dr. Zapata. Yes, Joe. How are you?
I'm well. What seems to be the problem, Joe?
Well, I'm having difficulty drawing from imagination.
Oh, Joseph, just so you know, that's totally normal. Why don't you tell me a little more about your problem? Is it that you can only draw from imagination if you're completely alone?
Doc, I can't ever draw from imagination.
What about if you're completely relaxed?
When I'm totally relaxed, I can't imagine a thing.
I see. Joseph, it's important to know that even with severe cases like this, there's always hope. I can prescribe an experimental therapy called Form from Imagination.
Form from imagination?
Mm-hmm. It's early days, but clinical trials are extremely promising. Why don't you try this for 6 months and then check back in with me?
Okay, I'll do whatever it takes. Did you just draw this?
Oh yeah.
Wow, it's amazing. Hey, Doc, do you ever have trouble drawing from imagination?
Oh no.
You wouldn't, I mean, you drew this.
That's right.
Wow.
Form from Imagination is an experimental therapy and is not yet approved for use by the FDA. Do not use Form from Imagination if you are already taking any prescriptions for drawing from reference, working side size, or tracing photos you didn't even take. Stop taking Form from Imagination if you experience any of these side effects: loss of interest in your personal projects, megalomaniacal self-confidence, hallucinations, unless they're the kind you're hoping for, drawing better than Steven Zapata, or feelings that purchasing the course was enough and you don't really need to do the exercises. Call your doctor if you have stiff gestures, flat forms, or boring ideas to address a possible life-threatening condition. Full sketchbooks have been reported with form from imagination and medicines like it. Other risks include long-term art careers, too many clients, and being worth more than you're charging for. Call your doctor today and ask about form from imagination. Yo. Yes, yes. Hold on, let me move things around here. All right, let me put that there. That can go there. This can go here. All right, homies. Hello to Ayub. Longjuv. Overactive imagination. Before I keep going, please let me know. New stream setup, as you can see. Things have changed. Things have really changed. So do I sound okay? Do I sound clear? Am I too loud, too quiet, distorted, or anything like that? And I'm going to have to poke at my camera a bit. You can only barely see what I'm doing. That's a little too bright. That'll do for now. That will do. That'll do for now. For now, that'll have to do. Everything sounds good. All right, where was I? My dear Marziliano Sculpts. Overactive imagination, Mach 22. Psychobilly. Ayub Azakam, the design course when? This week, baby. This week. Farius Pace. Lac Asylum, Boxer Wing 1970, Apwamid, no restart, but only proceed. Circle Door, J Nightshade, Discord email, Matthias, De Matos, Brito, Sweet Jordy Alcala Art. Why would you mess with my bedtime? Things are changing. Moving times, changing things are shifting around. Sounds great, can hear birds chirping, that's nice. The motorcycles are gone for good, if only. I think we're swapping motorcycles for leaf blowers, which are more often around here. New set looks nice. Thanks, Cody. Jordy, I hope you're well. Matej, Shady on Fire, Art Dad, Farius Pace. Hello, everybody. Hello, we are doing it. Let's see, what can I say? Let me make myself a little bigger for a bit, just so I can talk for a bit. I am in a different living situation. I'm not gonna give you guys the full story of what's been going on with me lately, just because it would take a long time and this is a stream, so I would just wind up telling the story 1,000 times as new people come in. But I will update you guys soon. I'll do a life update video or something like that, either on YouTube, or I'll post it for the patrons or something like that. But yeah, things will be different. Some people had already heard, if you've been listening to streams for a while, you'd heard me saying, I'm probably going to have to move. Looks like I'm going to have to move. You know, I'm probably going to have to move, but the pressure is not on right now, you know, because the landlord who owned our building decided to sell her building. It didn't look like we could stay on as tenants and things like that. So that happened, and we went from 0 to moved in 2 weeks flat, less than 2 weeks flat. So here we are. We're in a different situation here. And there's a lot around that. Is everything okay? Everything is okay now. It's been a lot of putting out fires lately, a few emergencies. But here we are. I mean, seriously, I mean, that's life, right? Emergency after emergency after emergency. And literally, I moved here 2 days ago on Saturday. Big thanks to Marziliano Sculpts for his help, of course, with the move. And if Omar's here in the chat, thank you for your help. But yeah, moved everything on Saturday. Then yesterday was all set up. And look at us here. I mean, as soon as everything is set up, we're back to art, baby. The second, no matter what, the second everything is back up, we're back to art. Everything is back up and we're back to art. So I'll fill you guys in more. Honestly, in light of everything that's going on, the fact that the design course comes out this week is almost small. Almost small. But I should say that. That I will put out there. The design course does come out this week. Let me take a quick look at the Patreon. Thank you, Anna Rude. I appreciate it. Hello, Eddie. Hope you're doing good, bud. Thank you, Lack. Life does that. It sure does. Tons of humidity and clouds. It is humid here, too. It really is. What am I looking for here? I want to give some shout outs to new people who have joined the Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the channel, the Patreon is linked in the description of the video of the stream. The Patreon basically functions as a tip jar these days, but the main thing that it does get you is it gets you into the Discord, into the member Discord, where there's a lot of like-minded, very cool people who share art and are very kind to each other. And if you're, you know, I mean, it's my Discord, you know I'm weird, they're weird. Like I said, like-minded. So if you're interested in that, getting into the Discord community, please check out the Patreon. And there's also big backlog of like high-res scans of my pencil drawings. A lot of audio files that I've only released to patrons, you know, just like weird things I wanted to talk about, little meditations, talks about myths and hard times and things like that. So that's all sitting on the Patreon. It's been around for a few years, so there's a lot of backlog stuff on there. It's $5 a month. If you join the Patreon, it's not like you get kicked out of the Discord when you pay once, you're in the Discord permanently. I don't have it set to kick people out when they stop paying. You just stay in. Your name just isn't green, and that's sad, isn't it? So let me give some shout outs to some recent signups on Patreon. We have Limescale. Thank you so much, Limescale. I mean, everybody knows that in this world, justice and righteousness accrue only to the few. But Limescale is one of them. In a world of danger, peril, and suffering, Limescale is a nexus of justice and righteousness. Thank you, Limescale. Thank you. We also have, why can't I see when people signed up? I want to see. I would love to see. Sure would be nice if I could see. Oh, but the website is not so good. Oh, but the website is not set up good enough to actually allow me to do it. That's very nice. All right, well, Alan Costello. Alan Costello, thank you for signing up. Alan is a point of light, glimpsed, turning like a dancer, somewhere between the trees, on a midnight walk, in a wood that strangely you cannot remember entering. As you investigate further, you find you can't remember who you are, where you came from. You've lost your memories. You seem to have lost your connection with your psyche itself, and yet, that light between the trees, so strange, twinkling in and out, somehow you know that that light is Alan Costello. Strange, it doesn't make any sense. Also, thank you to Damien Barjau Mateo. Hell of a name, Damien Barjau Mateo, who, look, we've said a lot of crazy things about a lot of people when we talk Patreon members, but the most important thing we could say about Damien is that he's a boat. He's a huge boat. That's incredible. How do you get like that? I mean, to be a boat, like a seaworthy, seafaring vessel, but you can also go to school and have a dog and relationships? It's crazy. It's like a boat shouldn't be able to do that. Is it really possible for a boat to take care of a dog? I mean, how do you feed the dog? I don't know, but it's amazing. It's amazing that Damien can do that. Squinch, what needs to be said about Squinch? Honestly, what could you say about Squinch? Because Squinch's name is Squinch. Great name. Love that name. I don't have to embellish it. I don't need to embroider it with gold filigreed baroqueries. Squinch is Squinch. It's the sound that you make when you, in a moment of thoughtlessness, decide that a bug displeases you enough that it must be extinguished. Squinch. Squinch. It's squinched. Daniel Arnqvist. Hard to pronounce. A little upset about that, Daniel, I'm going to admit. A little upset about how difficult it is to pronounce Daniel Arnqvist. But I appreciate you signing up for the Patreon. I really do. You are a sharpened weapon that has been honed to perfection and that only masters can wield safely. You are the kind of weapon that, should a child pick up this weapon, they must be educated, punished. They must be corrected. They must be taught, no. These kinds of weapons, these particular Daniel Arnqvists, are not to be toyed with. They are not to be taken lightly. They are to be used with the utmost respect and control, and only against enemies who are respected, worthy foes. Thank you, everybody, for signing up for the Patreon. I think that's everyone who signed up since the last stream that I did. In case that wasn't, I'm sorry, I can't see the dates. The dates are cut off by my browser for some reason. So in case it wasn't, big love to Andrew Griffith, Dean Penjov, Rigo Artist, Dana Fay, Bethany, Tog Gazuglu, and Steve. Of course, just Steve. You all, maybe this is the second time I'm shouting you out, maybe it's the first, but either way, you're in a group of powerful foes that I actually faced in a dream the other night. I was in a Mortal Kombat situation the other night in a dream, and I want you to know that my team, who were very lackadaisical, not good at what they did, they got me killed. We were fighting in a maze. The maze had all sorts of traps, but the main problem was the foes. And again, the foes were Andrew Griffith, Dean Penchov, Rigo Artist, Dana Fay, Bethany, Tog Gazoglu, and Steve. And if I remember correctly, it was Steve who was elected to give me the death blow. And he gave me a kick that never quite landed. It just kept getting closer and closer, approaching tangent to my chest, which let me know in the dream, oh, it killed me. And I can't experience the kick because I'm dead. So I'm actually locked in a liminal purgatory, being kicked forever. And then in the dream, it zoomed in on Steve's face, David Lynch movie style. And his face was covered in all these weird paint mark textures. And then I woke up, scared, like really scared. It was scary. All right, so again, thank you so much for signing up for the Patreon. I'm happy to have you all in there. Enjoy the Discord. And if anybody wants to support the channel, the streams, whatever the heck you think it is I do, whatever you think it is I do here, it's certainly just you thinking it, because I don't know what I'm doing here. So there's no way you could know what I'm doing here if I don't even know what I'm doing here. All right. And so much is changing in life. Everything is turmoil. Things have been intense. So when that happens, I'm always just back to my sweet favorite place in the world, just a mechanical pencil and doing doodles. So that's what we're doing tonight. Did you get a new mic? Audio sounds better than usual? No, I did not. But as someone who is trying to run a live stream, I always appreciate hearing that. That's rare. That's not the usual feedback you get. Audio sounds better than usual. That's the rare feedback. The more common feedback is something's wrong with the audio today. You're gonna draw meat blobs for us, Papa Steven? Not today. I'm not feeling meat blobs today. I think like ghostly knights, ghostly night warriors. You know, maybe that's just what I have in mind, and maybe that's because maybe that's how I'm feeling today, you know? Maybe that's coming out because psychologically, that's how I feel. Maybe I feel worn down in another realm, ethereal, like you could pass right through me. A warrior who once did great deeds but is now beyond his prime. Just kidding. I'm sorry. I couldn't. You know, I tried to follow through with it, but I can't. I can't help but laugh at stuff like that. I mean, you can't be this good at drawing and take stuff like that seriously. You can't be literally the greatest living draftsman and take crap like that seriously. So, sorry, excuse me if I laugh. I don't need this AirPod. We're not playing music tonight. Can you explain what even is design, since your course is coming out soon? You see, I love, and hey, by the way, Toof. I forget if you're okay with me saying your real name online, but I'll call you Toof here. But I'm always glad to see a question like that at a time like this, because in the design course that's coming out this week, somewhere this week, you know, I'm not quite ready to put an exact day on it, because, you know, we got to release it when it's ready, and we're right down to the end, you know, just little things getting put in place, getting made. But it always is good to see a question like that, because at the beginning of the course, you know, there's a video right at the beginning that says what is design, right? And when you make a course like that as a teacher, when you've been living and breathing this stuff forever, often you look back and you're like, did I actually need to say that? Is any of that necessary? Like, is that too basic to even be worth covering? So a question like that reminds me, like, no, yes, it's good that I covered that. It is good that I covered that. Designing as an act is the process that we go through to decide on the look and or function of something, right? And that process is inherently sort of pre-production. It means that usually it's not on the final. It's not occurring on the final. There's applications where it is the norm to design in the final, something like landscape painting, you know, these days. If you do landscape paintings outdoors, you know, alla prima, in plein air, things like that, it is the norm there to design and execute the final at the same time. But in just about everything else, your design work is done in a preliminary fashion, and that lets you be free and ranging and exploratory. when you do it. So design is just that. It's the process. I know that's broad, but it's the process of deciding how something is going to look. And everybody has a different process as they go through it. It's supposed to be broad so that people can do all sorts of different things. And it can include a lot of unexpected things as well. And if, obviously I cover this in greater detail in the course, but if I could go one level down from that, probably the most common confusion for beginners is that they think the process of designing is some objective process that you are supposed to run on the things that you are working on, right? Like, I am going to now apply good shapes to this drawing. And that is not what design is. That is actually not logically coherent. Everything in design is based on working towards a particular emotional end for a particular genre might be the right word, like to a particular type of deliverable, right? And pulled back, that means that there is only good shapes are only shapes that support the design that you're working on. Same goes for line, value, all the elements of art, all the principles of design. So it's more about finding your opinions on what your project needs and then finding appropriate use of the elements, appropriate use of the principles for those ends in the design. That's what we do when we design. We say, what the heck is this exactly? What does it need? And then how can I fulfill those needs with a particular handling of the elements of art and the principles of design? Cody gives $10. Thank you so much, Cody. Design course release party stream. Yes, absolutely. Yes. At this point, because so much has changed for me right at the right around release time here, probably the main thing I can do on release day is basically stream all day. So you'll see a lot of me on release day. Thank you so much for the $10, Cody. You're the best. I appreciate it. Oh, Cody, I just remembered you sent me a message a while ago about color. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember you asking me a question about do you need to incorporate a color first process to get really good at color? And you sent me that message right when I was in the middle of a lot of fires I've been putting out over the past few weeks. So just to give you a quick answer here, it's not that you need to do a process where you work in color first. It's just that most people need some part of the process where color is dealt with on its own, sort of. All right, how to clarify. It is usually not satisfactory to handle color only in the indirect fashion. And by the indirect fashion, I mean, if I remember your question correctly, glazing colors over black and white and things like that. In the traditional parlance, that's called indirect painting. People did it in traditional painting as well. You would do a grisaille, black and white, or shades of brown underpainting, and then you would glaze color over the grayscale completed painting. That is... Yeah, if you're really concerned with color, if you want to be a great colorist, almost nobody can get there doing only that. So that isn't to say you need to paint opaque with color. Most people who want to do indirect for the value control and things like that, they need to do some step where they basically do a color study where they said, screw all that, and they just painted opaquely, picking colors directly off the color wheel and not letting underlying values affect color, because there's no way around it. If you let value influence what color goes down, it's always going to affect saturation mostly, and you will get grayer. So academic painters would do a separate color study. So if they were doing a 6 foot tall figure painting, even if there was no background, even if it was just a figure, they would do maybe a color study about this tall of a life-size finished figure oil painting, where it's the figure about 8 or so inches tall and it's being painted directly in full color with no underlying values, no underlying drawing, just to get the overall movements of color in the whole figure. What parts are warmer, what parts are cooler, what parts are more tan, and so they're darker and warmer, what parts are covered by clothes out in the sun, and so they're cooler and lighter. So even the traditional artists would do something like that. And that was usually done early in the process. So yeah, it's not that you need to start pictures that you want to do indirect with full color, but you do, if you're very serious about color, you do need to, most people need to work some step into the process where color is the only thing that they're concerned with, and it's not being affected by underlying values or anything like that. But that's if you love color. If you don't love color, screw it. Do whatever you want. It's so humid today. It's supposed to rain all week, so I can definitely feel the humidity building up. I haven't drawn anything in weeks, by the way. This is the first thing I've drawn in weeks. The very first thing. This feels great. Damn, it feels good to just move the old fingers. Hold on, I gotta turn on the overhead fan. This is too much. This is just too much. Sweating like a blue ribbon show pig under these lights. Whew. Sweating like a big hog that's just been fed grass. And what do hogs eat? I don't know. I'm a city boy. Do you think gesture drawing is useful? Absolutely. I've been to life drawing literally thousands of times, and most of that is gesture drawing. It's very useful. It's not everything, you know? It's not everything, but it's very useful. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here as always. Thank you for being here as always. If I missed any questions, repost them in the chat. I was yapping a lot. You know how it is. What are you drawing? Some kind of a ghost warrior thing. Some kind of a spectral, long dead sort of a ghost warrior, if you know what I'm saying. Classic spectral ghost warrior. Omega Art Rizzler? What does the Rizzler do? He goes, something like that? No. I'm too old to know what the Rizzler does. Carl Frank, hello. Says, you, in part, inspired me to finally start working towards doing art live streams. I did my first test. I clearly have a lot to get used to in order to make it work well. Have fun with it. It's hard. It is hard. Sometimes your dogs just start barking. I do this to show you the kinds of things that you'll have to deal with, Carl, on a stream. You'll be trying to be peaceful. You're drawing a spectral warrior. Somebody will come home. The yapping. It won't stop. Extremely shrill, extremely loud. And, part of the education is just showing you how to live with it. Be cool, baby. I mean, look, this is the front that I present to the audience. I'm cool. I'm unbothered. As soon as the stream is over, I'm like, Finny! What the fuck was that? We were right on the cusp, F-dog. Someone was about to donate. And then you with the bow wow wow. Wow. That actually spooked me. Her real bark synced perfectly with me going bow wow wow wow. That was good. That spooked me a little. Hello, Aisha W. Finally caught alive. You catch these all the time. What are you talking about finally? You're always here. You're a regular. You're a beloved regular. But I have to go to work, but love listening in the background while I get ready to walk into this hospital for 12 hours. You can do it. Get it. Get in there. Help people. You're doing the real deal in this world. It's so nice to hear birds in the background. Yeah, I like hearing birds in the background as I turn my creative mind towards drawing spooky nights and specters and ghostly sword wielders and hideous Lovecraftian monstrosities that inhabit only the most deranged minds. Let them come forth. May their hideous names be heard in this realm again, over the soft, dulcet tones of northeastern birds of the Americas. What happened? Where was I? Even now it crawls up the stairs towards me. put another guy down here. We could be quite zoomed out for this one. Forgot all the buttons on my camera. It's been so long since I've done this. Tu vieja. Tu vieja. That's a funny username. Tu vieja says, "Hi, Steve. Why do you think that we draw? Like, is art an entity that knows life through our hands or something like that?" I think the amazing thing about drawing is that it goes beyond being knowable. Like, I have my own personal suspicions and theories, but I can't really believe that they're sort of the answer as to what art is or what's happening. The mystery that I sort of hang my hat on day after day is that I don't think we actually know what art is. And we don't know what drawing is. I think that we have a lot of assumptions and a lot of bad answers, but we don't actually know. And I think that that's really exciting. That's amazing. The entity thing. See, I've had a lot of crazy experiences with art, and I know a lot of people who've had a lot of crazy experiences. And you can experience your work as being interfacing with an entity, something other than you. And given the structurelessness and openness of art, I really believe that it's like, if you're feeling it that way, then that kind of is what is happening, right? I mean, art isn't like other things in the world. You know, it doesn't need to be objectified. It doesn't need to stand up to a consensus reality or anything like that. It's, if your day-to-day experience of making art is that art is a moldering, beautiful black raven that threatens to rend you to your bones if you don't perform the ritual day after day after day, then that's what's happening. If it feels that way, then that's what's happening. Art doesn't need to stand up to consensus scrutiny. So it is what it is. And mapping it as a dance, a tete-a-tete with a strange spiritual entity, it really answers a lot of difficult questions about art. It does. But as amazing as that sounds, it's like, it can still be so much more. You know, it can be anything that you need it to be. Art's really amazing. I don't have enough good things to say about it, for real. Nocturne says, "Hi, Stephen. Hope all is chilling." I got to admit, things have not been chilling lately, but now I'm drawing right now. So right now, chill. The second the computer and the microphone were plugged in and the paper could be brought out, here we are. You get ready. I just want you guys to know, this is not me. I want to be very clear. This is not me bragging, because you guys know that I don't like the bragging, militarization of art thing. You guys know I hate that. That's why my channel exists. This is me saying how wonderful art can be in your life. Emergency after emergency after emergency after emergency. I sat down to draw before I sat down to watch a TV show or a movie or play a video game. I told you it could happen. I've had a lot of students be like, it's not possible that I would want to draw more than play a video game. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I like video games a lot. I like video games a lot. I have just reached the end of a weeks-long just explosion. And this would be the perfect time to be like, all right, I finally have a moment here to just recuperate myself with just a movie, just a nice, relaxing movie. Drawing. Most aligning, connecting with everything that I think matters in life, the most relaxing thing I could do, truly. I wish this for all of you. That relationship is available. Not because I'm disciplined, not because I'm gritty. I don't consider myself more disciplined or gritty than most people in general. I think I'm pretty average in all those regards. You know, I'm sitting here doing it because I have a wonderful relationship with it. That's it. It's not because I'm disciplined. There's no amount of discipline that would make me do it at this particular time. It's something different. It's hello, old friend. Hello, old friend. Glad to see you're still here. Cody gives another $5. Gonna lurk and draw, have fun with the Spectre Knight. Was gonna tip $1 billion originally, but Fanny barking, man, so close. Thanks for the live. Thank you, Cody. I really appreciate it. You're very kind, my friend. Thank you. And Fanny is she's gonna pay for that. She's gonna pay for that. She doesn't know what $1 billion is, but she'll be able to sense it in my anger. Zdeck says, okay, got it. So discipline equals freedom. I have to be David Goggins or I'm not enough. Got it. Thanks, got it. You got it. You picked it up perfectly. That was it. Just perfect. No notes. Flawless. Just keep going like that. Let that control the arc of your next 20 years. You'll be just fine. Or you could play Night Rain with me and Adam. Get ye behind me, Satan. Get ye behind me, Satan. Art is therapeutic, just like Steven's sarcasm. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Discord email says, I'm in a romantic relationship with my art. Kind of toxic, but last night they told me very worrying things. Am I going to have to study to keep it interesting? I know you're probably joking. But you would be surprised the things that I've gone through and the things that people that I've mentored and coached have gone through. So you may have thought that was a joke, but given my life experience, I have to take that completely seriously. And like anything, if the demon, you know, in your case, you say it's romantic, if the succubus is, or incubus, I don't know, you know, there's an assumption off of my YouTube demographics. If the succubus or the incubus is making particular demands of you that are worrying you, keep it steady, easy, you know, just like in a real relationship. Don't get walked all over, you know, keep it a little sharp, you know. Drawing has an infinite appetite. It has consumed some of history's greatest minds. It has asked for everything from the geniuses, the virtuosos, and the most gifted of our time. It will eat you if you are unwilling to defend yourself. And art does not want a weakling. Not in this time. No, not in this era. Art needs warriors. It does. It's not the petty, crass, bullshit David Goggins stuff. No, it's something else. It's the crusader. It's the religious zealot. One who walks the fine line. You need to be a little sharp. Where's your inner steel, my friend? That's what art wants. Don't get walked all over. Negotiate. Negotiate. I'll give you that if you give me this. Art will respond. Art will respond. Don't think it won't. Don't make art small. No one knows what art is. We were born into a benighted age. Don't let them pull the wool over your eyes. There's still some magic left in this world. Oh, I forgot I was going to put another guy over here. All right. Hello, the crud. Hello, graphite, my old friend. I've come to draw with you again. From Carl Frank. Good boy for returning. I always return. I always come back. What else is up? Any news? I haven't had a touch. Not world news, art news. Don't you dare talk to me about world news. Anything going on in the art world? Disney sued Midjourney. That's right. Thank you, Joe. That is true. We all knew it was coming. It had to happen. Midjourney deserves everything that they're going to get. I was talking to Joe about this, but we're going to have to keep an eye on the studios, of course, because they might definitely have a tendency to overreach on this one. But let's see how it shakes out. It could definitely get a vibe of you know, it could definitely get a vibe of it's Godzilla against Mothra now. You know, it's just two kaijus that we little people down here, there's nothing we could do about it. We're just watching them trade blows and energy beams as we watch our city to crumble around us. That might be what it feels like very soon here. So we've been streaming for about an hour. Again, this is my new setup in a new place. So let me just check in. The stream looks good. It hasn't been laggy, choppy, good connection. People have told me the audio sounds fine. But like, how's the stability? Nothing's been dropping out or anything like that? Fodor Kodrut says, this might be a random question, but what are some of your favorite educational art books? Usually what I like to answer here is, my favorite's just like whatever one I'm thinking about lately. But the ones that I don't think get enough hype, they're not as popular these days, but I just think are some of the best ever. So the two that I normally say here are Drawing Lessons from the Great Masters by Robert Beverly Hale. Not Anatomy Lessons from the Great Masters, Drawing Lessons from the Great Masters. It's one of the few art books that teaches draftsmanship, design questions, things like that. And the other one is, the name's a little confusing. I forget exactly what it is, but Drawing the Clothed Figure by Barbara Bradley. One of the best figure drawing books ever. It's not just about clothes. It's really a good overall instruction for figure drawing. It basically feels like she was trying to make a modern Loomis book or something like that. But it's much more applicable than Loomis for sort of this sector of drawing that we tend to be in our niche. People who are into entertainment, they want to draw characters who are, go figure, wearing costumes. Barbara Bradley it really feels like she made that book more for the modern era and people who are into that. Excellent, excellent book. I was very lucky to run into it when I was very young. Found it when I was very young. Hardly anybody talks about it now, but I always tell people to go check it out. Hi. Hello. Yeah, what do you think? Oh, you're just going to walk right by it? Oh, well, I mean, come on. Not a fan of Ghost Knights? Okay. What do you like? I'm not drawing that. No. Sorry I asked, honestly. I'm not drawing that. Nope, forget I asked. I'm not drawing that. Yeah, I know she's your queen, but she's not mine, so I'm not gonna. Hi, Kyo. How you doing? Girl Starter says, hey, Steven, wonder if you ever looked at any of Marco Matteo Mestre's books on composition perspective. Yes, they're excellent. Framed Perspective 1 and 2 are usually what I recommend these days when people ask for a perspective book. I think it's thorough, but he stops at the right point and just starts talking about storytelling stuff, just like prioritizing what the story needs. He's not pretending to try to teach you like a full perspective bag of tricks. And I think that's good. Most people, most people only think they want to know and use perspective. And they think that because they don't know perspective. If people knew how complex perspective can get, they would know they don't want to use it, that they don't want to do it. I should clarify. I mean that a lot of people start to look into perspective and want to learn it because they think that it's going to be a way to math themselves to the correct answers for problems like like buildings and how to put how to make a scene look good and make it look correct and things like that. And of course, yes, every perspective issue can be mathed. There is an objective answer that can be mathed out within the particular guardrails of any cone of vision and set of vanishing points and all of that. You can, it is geometry in the end, that is what it comes down to. But that level, to actually be able to do that, is so obtuse and unworkable that if you actually understood what it takes to do that, you realize you don't want to, that you really don't want to. You really only need very little perspective, and then you just switch to telling lies that fit the story. That's the way to go, always. Kyo says, thank you for streaming on this draining day. I almost started drawing for relief, but thankfully you're live so I don't have to anymore. Please draw. Please draw. Oh my God, please draw. Hi, Stephen. When learning to draw, is it better to stick to one medium, digital or traditional, or there is no problem with switching between them regularly? Sorry for my broken English. There's no problem. There's no problem. The people discount how useful it is to be very interested while you work. So following your nose on what medium you feel like working with that day, that week, whatever, it really helps a lot because you're plugged in, you're interested, you're going where your interests lay that day, that morning, whatever it is. And dude, after the first few years, interest is everything. Art really becomes a game of like, how can I keep my energy up as I do this for, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 fucking years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. I'm trying to go my whole life. If I stick with it, it's like whatever my death age is, let's say that I die at 90, that's like 85 years of drawing. And ever since I was young, it has always fascinated me, like motivated me, inspired me to just think like, if I don't give up, no matter what, for my whole life, how good could I get? How good could it really get? That's not everything art's about, of course, but I have to admit that, especially in my youth when I was full of a lot of piss and vinegar and competition, that was a really motivating thought. Logan asks, hi, Steven, what do you think about abstract doodle art? That's super technical. Abstract doodle art, that's super technical blobs and other stuff. Is there any room for professional work in there? And what should I practice to get better? Is there any room for professional work in there? I mean, if you're talking like commercially, I don't know. You know, all commercial work really comes down to what are people hiring for in the market at that time. So there's not really any generalizable thing you can say about that. But just in general, it's like, if we open up professional to just mean, could you make a living off of that or make money off of that? It's like, people make money off of any kind of art. You know, it depends how you market yourself. It just depends how you market yourself. And if you can get the right kind of work in front of the right kind of people. But I mean, there's been decades and decades and decades of abstract work being the main kind of work people want, you know? You know, if work and money are your main concern, you really have to, if they're your main concern, you have to take seriously, like, all right, well, am I trying to make something that people want to hang in their house? Or am I trying to make something that people are going to hire me to do? And if you want people to hire you to do it, like what project could possibly need that, you know? Is it that movies would need that? Is it that games would need that? In the hiring capacity, like commercial work for hire capacity, no one's really going to hire you just because what you do is awesome. They'll only hire you if what you do is awesome and they need it for their project, you know? Hey, Steven, have you been stuck on a large project before, all the time, without the experience and skills and under urgent deadline? Tell us about that and how you managed to get it done. I've definitely been stuck before, but without the experience, skills, and under an urgent deadline. Well, see, I'm lucky that most of the time when I've on a commercial job, I've hit a hard wall. All the times that I can think of, I was on a team. You know, I was doing like working in studio and things like that. So the times that are coming to mind, it really wasn't, I didn't have to do any fancy heroics to pull it off. I just had to go to my art director or to my coworkers and just be like, how the hell are we going to finish this? You know, how are we going to get this done? And how can we speed this up or make it hit the quality level that's needed? And fortunately, in all those situations, they knew what to do. You know, I was working with good people. Yeah, I wish I had a better answer for that right now. But the ones that come to mind, the big panics on commercial things were always with a team. And it was always the team that saved me. You gotta work with good people. If it's something that you're running, you know, and you're on your own, it's like the number one way to get through things like that is usually to reassess the scope. You know, you usually get stuck on a personal project, something where you're not working for somebody. Usually get stuck because you scoped out really far. and you bit off more than you could chew in the time that you had to finish it and things like that. So usually the solution is to scope down, you know. That's what your boss would do at work, you know. They would look at the blown deadlines and you know, the 3 years of venture capital that have been burned up with no product, and they would be like, yeah, we're scoping down, you know, we're gonna cut the deliverables in half. You gotta get used to doing stuff like that. Stuff like that is just, you know, that's project manager brain, you know. That stuff seems impossible for a lot of artists because, you know, we just want the thing to be great. But that's one of the good things about doing some commercial work is like, I don't know, I wouldn't be able to bite the bullet on scoping down today if I hadn't had my ass saved over the years by project managers forcing me to scope down. You know, it's because I saw them make the hard choice and squeeze a project, you know, cut parts off of a project and have it work. It's only because I've seen them do that I trust the process, you know. And I can push against my natural artistic tendencies there when I need to. How about something when you were on your own? Yeah, I wound up answering that. Yeah, it's like when I hit a wall, it's always that. I went too big, I need to scope down. Yeah. What does scope down mean, says Alejandro? Just cutting stuff. You know, you made the project too big. You know, you thought in a month you'd be able to finish. You said, all right, I've got 2 months off from school. I'm gonna make Berserk. You know, Berserk is the only thing that satisfies me. I'm irrational, so it doesn't matter to me that Kentaro Miura spent, you know, 35 years drawing it. I have 2 months to make Berserk. And then you're at the end of the 2 months and you were so paralyzed by discovering that you couldn't make Berserk in 2 months that you just didn't make anything. So is that good? Is that a good outcome? No. The better thing to have done would have been a month of failure, a month of realizing you can't make Berserk in a month, and then rather than deliver nothing at the end of 2 months, scope the project down, not to nothing, not to like an unfinished thing, not to like, all right, well, I'm gonna just do 25% and then that's the end of it, but scope down to a MVP, a minimum viable product. I talk about all this stuff in my design course, by the way, that's coming out this week. Scope down to a minimum viable product that, if delivered, is still the idea and it is a finishable, complete idea that's not going to feel like some in-progress thing. It would have been better to scope down to that and deliver that by the end of the 2 months. Of course, because you got nothing on the other. In the first version, you got nothing. You got zero. You don't have anything to show. But artists really hate scoping down. You kind of need someone with a business mind to show you how to do it. You know, you need to watch a project manager do it, watch a creative director do it. You know, that will build your trust in that. And then once you have that, you still probably won't be comfortable with it until, or forget comfortable, but even believe it works. You won't believe it works until you've run a project and you've had to do it yourself. You know, you put on your project manager hat and you scope it down. $17.29 Cookie says, hi, how big of an issue would you say style is while referencing art you like as opposed to photos, which I find a little boring? How big of an issue is style? Oh, we're saying art you like. I'm a little confused by the question. I'm not sure what you mean. In general, I don't think style is a problem. Nothing wrong with style. Nothing wrong with stylized things, cool things, slick stuff. I'm gonna turn a little more light on in here. Steven, what kind of D&D character do you think you would be? Oh, I don't know. Probably a priest or something like that. Like if we're just going on my actual personality, it's like I was just meant to be a hermit in the woods. It's what I was always supposed to be. And I might get there yet. I might get there yet. And I'm not talking about some cool off the grid guy who's like through his own ingenuity, you know, made himself a nice little hut with all these creature comforts. It's like, wow, you built that yourself. Wow, you're so industrious. And you did. No, covered in dirt. No comfort. Dangerous. Could die any day. No medicinal abilities. Starving. Can't trap anything. Doesn't matter. Just hermit. Nothing but meditation and prayer all the time. Living on light. That's what I'm supposed to be. When I say hermit, don't you dare think it's some running an outdoorsman YouTube channel crap. No, nothing good. Mind on God all day, every day. That's it. The first sketches I've done in so long. Feels good, homies. I know I was blocking your view, but can you just give me a second? Just give me a second. I need to unpack my my leaning board. With the way my lights are right now, I could really use my my board. Did you play Night Rain? No. No, I have not. I would like to, but I've just been way too busy. Lot going on. Lot going on. I was pumped for Night Rain when I saw it. You know, I've always been interested in doing some kind of a like co-op focused Souls-like thing. I always had the intention of doing the Elden Ring like seamless co-op mod for the PC version of Elden Ring. I like that idea. I like the idea of going through that experience with a friend. But these skeletons ain't gonna draw themselves. Molten1 says, hey Steven, wanted to say thanks. Woke up, saw your video, and just started drawing. No self-talk BS, no preparations, no effort, just started again after many years. So thank you. Love it. Love it. Oh, that's why I'm here, baby. Love to hear it. That's what I'm trying to contribute in this world. There he is again. Very happy to help add more art to the world. Fabio, good to see you, man. Hope all is well. If you're into the deep end stuff, there's a, if you go way back in the channel, way back, I mean, not that far back. It's a few years ago. If you go back in the channel, there's a conversation with Fabio Paiva, who's in the chat, that you'd probably like if you're into the really far out stuff. What's your advice on gouache and what resources artists can I look up to? I struggle a lot with the subtlety of the value control and the shape design of, for example, a portrait. Gouache is hard. Gouache is traditionally considered like a master's medium. It's very sensitive, very hard to get a controlled surface with gouache. My first piece of advice, and this is not meant to sound dismissive, but like, do you actually want to be working with gouache? Very finicky, very touchy medium. You might be happier working in something like watercolor if all you're looking for is transparency. And if what you want is coverage, I always liked casein better than gouache. I've always struggled with gouache. I had to do a bunch of it back when I was in college. When I switched to casein, so much better. There I could actually finish some paintings. Casein I found no problem. So if transparency is what you like, why not use watercolor? If coverage is what you like, why not use casein? Both are less finicky mediums. Well, watercolor, that's its own thing, but you know, it's fully transparent. You know, it's not gonna, you're gonna get the best transparencies off watercolor. And casein you can thin considerably. You can get quite thin and do watercolor washes. And again, for a lot of people, it's like, people don't want to set up an oil painting area, but oil paint, people are very intimidated by it, but it's the most flexible medium. It's the most forgiving. You know, oil paints won't dry for weeks. You can erase them. You can blend things. You get hard edges, soft edges. It can look like any other medium. You know, it has the highest degree of verisimilitude of any medium. Does it get technical when it comes to making sure, you know, your paintings don't crack and using mediums and all of that? Yeah, but if you just accept oil paint for what it is, like it's gonna take a month to dry, it's the most forgiving medium, you know? So for me, I'm like, oh my God, gouache is like not worth it for most people. It is just not worth it unless you specifically need the things gouache is good at, which is coverage, you know, complete coverage with a flat surface. You know, gouache was designed to photograph well. So they didn't want it to build up and create impasto, where it would create thick brush strokes and things like that that would cast shadows in the photograph, or if you scanned it on a drum scanner, that it would make it difficult to go through the drum scanner. Gouache was designed to lay flat as fuck for commercial reproduction. If that's not what you need it for, why are you using it? You know, it's like, it's there. Every other medium does something better, you know? So that said, one of my closest friends, Tommy Kim, you guys said, what artist should I check out? Go check out Tommy Kim. One of my closest friends, Tommy Kim, is excellent with gouache. You can find his art on Instagram. He does beautiful landscape paintings with gouache. If you also just like abusing yourself, you know, you just want to, you know, just for your own ego, you want to master one of the most difficult mediums, that's a good one too. What's casein? First time I've heard of this medium. Yeah, it's a water mixable. Oh yeah, V Banches said a paint made out of milk protein. Yeah, it does. It has a milk base. Well, casein base. Casein is the kind of protein that's in dairy milk. But yeah, it's water mixable, and unlike gouache, which was designed to lay flat, casein will let you get. If you've never tried it, it's a cool medium. It's like, you can load a brush up really thick with casein, and you can put down an oil paint like stroke that is impasto. It's thick, you know, it has grooves and things that could pile up, you know, and it'll be dry in minutes and hard. And you don't get the surface also seals. So unlike gouache, where you kind of have to put it down and leave it, because if you reactivate with the water, all the layers underneath will come up. Casein, all the layers below are sealed. So in a sense, casein is even better for coverage than gouache, because you can go over any old patch of casein with new casein that's wet, and you won't mix the colors. You'll just put down an opaque layer of casein. Casein's great. I like casein a lot. Do you ever glaze color over your graphite drawings? I've tried it many times before, but I've never gotten a satisfactory result. It's one of the most common things I experiment with. Whenever I finish a pencil drawing, not real colors. I have tried glazing real colors, watercolor, things like that, over my pencil drawings many, many times. But over my finished, like really resolved graphite drawings, I always, when I'm done, take them into Photoshop and see if I can find a color solution, some way to do it. And it has never once worked out. You know, maybe someday, you know, when I'm 85, it will happen, and that'll be a glorious day. But I think that I just think differently when I'm working in monochrome than when I'm thinking in color, you know. Ahmed Alkir says, do you think the skills of Kim Jung-gi are attainable? Absolutely. But all right, what's my full honesty on this? The skills of Kim Jung-gi are absolutely attainable. Are you asking me, are they attainable by anybody? I have to be honest and say no. Of course not. Of course not. People are different, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a beautiful thing. And early on, as an artist, you may think that the thing that you want most is just to have somebody else's skills. But in reality, that's not what you want. That's not what most people want. It would never satisfy you, first off. And two, it is actually impossible. You can't actually draw exactly the way someone else did. Everybody wants to find their thing. They just want to find their thing. And for everybody, their thing does have usually an expected level of quality that in their head is like, that's an inherent need of my thing. But that's usually not all of it. You know, your personal thing has a lot more to do with content and the way that you handle the elements and the principles. It's more about that and your philosophical connection with the work and with the elements and principles. You know, what do lines mean to you? What do values mean to you? Things like that. That is what will satisfy people. That's what does satisfy people. And that feels more amazing than anything when you find it, when you discover it. Other people's skills, it'd never feel right. It would never feel right. So first off, yeah, you don't really want it. Nobody does. I mean, it's an important part of being a young artist, like a universal part of being a young artist, but in the end, it's not what people are looking for. And yeah, the other part is talent is real, and this will start off a whole bunch of conversation, I'm sure, where people are like, well, talent is just this, it's just that, and any level of anything is attainable by anyone. It's like, again, it's like through a narrow view, you think that matters, right? And a lot of people really go to bat for that because sort of in the back of their head, they're worried that if that isn't the case, they should just quit art. And it's like, that's all just bad motivations and just not being lined up correctly. I love skill. I love whatever degree of virtuosity I've been able to achieve in my lifetime. And I'm a competitive person, have been, varying degrees of competitiveness in my life. And I can sit here and just tell you confidently that I acknowledge that talent does exist, and there's certain heights that could only possibly be achievable by someone who did have a particular degree of talent out of the box. And that doesn't upset me. It doesn't make me want to quit art. It is orthogonal to the actual things that I value in art. And I don't know, these days I don't really find myself super self-reflexive about it, right? Like, I'm glad that there's, Kim Jong-gis in the world. That's like telling me, there's one green tiger in the world. It's like, that's great. That's awesome. Like, holy shit. That's awesome that there's the one green tiger. Like, not every orange tiger needs to be looking at each other and going, we could be green if we wanted to. It's like, that's stupid. It's petty. And it's just let the one green tiger be the one green tiger. So it is attainable, but I don't think it's attainable by everybody, and I don't think you'd want to, in most cases, to achieve that level. When we're talking like a Kim Jong-gi level, you really would have to, you'd have to permanently distort your life around it, and that's good if you're into it, right? But again, the problem is that you would distort your life around it, and then it's possible that the day you get there, you're like, oh shit, it was all for nothing. It was all for nothing. And that's bad. That usually then produces an art villain. Those exist. They're out there. So try to avoid that. What are the factors and conditions of talent? Can talent be trained at a young age? And Carl Frank Art says, I used to agree with that no such thing as talent thing, but I've come to think that there are levels of aptitude, like having a starting stat bonus in an RPG, even if much of it can be learned. Yeah, anything can, of course, be learned. But, I mean, you can find comics that Kim Jong-gi drew when he was 14 or 15 that, though it's not that they're good, it's that the pages he made at 14 or 15 were already enough that he would have been considered one of the best working comics artists alive today. He could have stopped there. The comics that he was, I just don't think a 14-year-old, 15-year-old Kim Jong-gi was, had mentors over his shoulder, telling him, you're going to be the Navy SEAL of art. You're going to be my black knife assassin who murders other artists in the night. It's like, no, that's just him. He just had that in him. That particular sculpture of body and mind had an incredible capacity for that kind of drawing. And I don't. Probably you don't, and that's... It is a failure of our philosophical understanding and positioning with art to be totally unhorsed by that or unmoored by that. Like, it's inherently sort of selfish and narcissistic to not just be okay with that existing in the world. Like, let there be Halley's comets that cross through our generations every now, once a generation. Like, let Kim Jong-un just be a once in a generation Halley's comet. That's nice. That's really nice. There's nothing wrong with that. Yes, I love that quote from Richard Schmid. I always remember that from his book. Yeah. Ababa says, I like the stance on talent from Richard Schmid's book. Assume you have it and forget about it. Yes, that is the best answer. It's a fun thing to talk about and to turn around in our heads, but that, like, operationally speaking, that's the best thing you could do when it comes to talent. Just, you're great, move on. Just keep going. You've got tons of it. Keep going. Jack Foster says, if they abandoned folly and dedicated their lives to serving and feeding the art gods, they could be the green tiger. I'm not saying you can't be a green tiger. Anything is achievable, right? But obviously not by everybody. And the thing is that no one can tell you, are you going to be the one? Like, to a certain degree, it's like, if you have ambitions like that, you have to just take a leap of faith and say, I've got a feeling in my heart that it is possible for me, and just, I'll see you in 40 years. You just throw that fastball and try to catch it on the other side. And that's what all artists have had to do, always, all throughout time. Kyokusei says, Steven, I finally bit the bullet and got a used Lumix last week for streaming pencil. Nice. Quick question, do you think there is an optimal light position to reduce graphite glare from myself and the camera? Yes, I do. And I used to have that on my old setup. I don't have it right now. 2, also, do you use a softbox? Yes, your paper always looks bright and evenly lit. I didn't care about this stuff until I got this thing, and now glare, shadows, and inconsistent lighting are driving me insane. Welcome to the pain. Welcome to the pain. Everybody has different opinions on this. And I've spent a lot of time testing things and trying things. I will tell you my setup to maybe try to save you some pain, but don't think I've got it perfect. I do use a softbox. I use 2 because I prefer it just for the brightness. I always feel like my environment's dark and stuff like that, but really 1 might actually be ideal. So to reduce glare, you have to ask yourself what glare is, right? So glare is a specular reflection. It's a specular reflection coming off of the dust of the graphite on the paper. So it follows all of the rules of specular reflections. That is to say that it occurs when light is coming in at the right angle, bouncing off, and then going into your eye at the same angle that it came, angle of incidence equals angle of reflection, such that the surface normal, the angle of reflection goes to the eye of the viewer, right? The whole thing. So it's only happening in those areas where it bounces off and goes to your eye. That's why the glare disappears and reappears as you move your head. So, technically, if you had a laser-like, that means a perfectly directional, lenticular light source hitting the pencil drawing, the glare would only occur in one spot. You would only see it from one spot. You'd also only see the drawing from one spot, right? Because the diffuse reflection would be all fucked up. But the specular would be controlled, so it's only in one spot, right? That would be great, right? Because then you just make sure neither your eye or the camera is in that one spot. But then we would have uneven lighting on the drawing. So we use softboxes. I do use a softbox, a big photographer's softbox, and that produces a new problem, which is that softboxes are large light sources, and from large light sources, photons are exiting the light source at every angle from a wide area. So what does that mean? That means that the softbox will actually produce glare at more angles, making the situation worse with the glare. So a diffuse broad light source is actually worse for pencil glare than a single point light source. So we know single point doesn't really work because the fall off is too extreme. You can't get even lighting on the drawing. So what do? You want to get, sorry, I got a dog scratching at my door. It's making a lot of noise. Let me either shoo it away or let it in. Hold on one sec. People had come home. I guess not. I don't know what all the commotion earlier was. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. And they're doing it again. I'm just going to let the dogs in. I'm sorry. All right, come on. Be quiet. Be a quiet little dog now. I'm all confused about what my home situation is right now. I thought my wife had come home. That's why the dogs are barking before, but the house seems to be empty. Okay. So how do we get around this? I don't know if you know what this is, but honeycomb grid, you put that on the softbox. So honeycomb grid, I'm going to ruin my setup here and try to show you is there an easier way for me to, all right, I'm going to point my webcam up so that you can see my softbox and you'll see that it has a weird grid on it. Well, photographers know exactly what it is, but if you're not a photographer, you might not know what a grid is. So I'm pointing it up. So there's my light, and you can see that it has a bunch of squares on it, right? It has a grid over it. Let's see if I could show you that. So here's my other light that's off. Okay, I can't turn it any further, so you can't see it. So you can see that there's a grid on that one. All right, let me try to vaguely get my camera back. Was that my position? I think I was something like that. So softbox, lots of glare, smaller, inconsistent, yes. So that grid that you saw is something that photographers put on softboxes to make the light more directional. So, each grid is black, right? Each little square now is black and has a little set of 4 walls covering each part of the softbox. So it absorbs the photons that are going out at odd angles. So it doesn't fix it completely, but in aggregate, it now makes the light coming from the softbox more directional in aggregate than a softbox without a grid on it, which is just going to spray the photons out in every direction. So that's what you want. So now you have consistent, even lighting over the paper, like you see I get here on mine, right? It looks about the same up here as it does down here, but the light is more controlled, more directional, so that reduces the specular angles where you're going to get glare. So if you put that softbox off to one side. It'll come in at one angle and then bounce off at mostly just that other angle. And if you arrange that right, you just make sure that the camera is not at that angle and your eye is not at that angle, and you'll reduce most of the glare. It's never going to be perfect because the graphite granules are little rocks, so they have all sorts of planar directions on them. So no matter how close you get the light, there's always going to be some planes. No matter how directional you get the light, there's always going to be some planes that shoot it back at your eyes. But it really does work. In my new setup, I haven't figured out how to place the light so that it gets. Sorry about that. In my new setup, I haven't figured out how to place the lights so that the light, at my old place, I had the light directly to the side. So I got that perfect, like, it was striking the paper and bouncing off, nowhere near my eye and my camera. Unfortunately, my new setup, I can't quite get it off to the side, so a bunch of it is glaring back in my eye, but it's still much better than if I was using a regular softbox or just a point light. All right, that's my spiel. That's me being a nerd about how to reduce graphite glare for camera, trying to help someone who happens to have a similar setup to me. I hope that helped, Kyo. That's what I do. And like I said at the beginning, so both of my softboxes have the directional grid on them, but just like I said, technically a single point light source is technically the ideal when it comes to glare. Like right now, I only have one on because it helps me control the glare better. If I turn on another light, then I'm getting, there's two overall glare angles now. Kyo says, wow, I didn't know about all this. Glare really has had me questioning all of my knowledge of the science of light. Thank you for the insights. Oh, I'm happy to disperse them because I've been building up this knowledge and this setup over many, many different setups, many different failed experiments. If you really want to kill glare, the setup that is too much for me, that I'm not interested in doing, but that some people swear by. Did you guys just get back?
Yeah.
I thought you guys, the dogs went crazy earlier. I thought you guys got back like an hour ago and we're just down there. That's weird.
No.
I could have swore I heard someone come in the house.
No.
That's strange. All right. Everything was okay? All right. We'll talk soon.
All right. Come on.
Take that dog. Don't leave him in here.
Winnie, let's go. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Winnie, come on. Come. Winnie, come.
Go on, dog.
She's so bad.
I got her.
No. Fanny's changed a lot, hasn't she? Since last you streamed.
Friggin' dogs. There's no controlling them. Discord email says, but I want that thing to be good and I want to learn. So I'm trying to buy all of it. Maybe I should just pick one or the other. 2 out of 2. Discord, we didn't include part 1. Yeah, Discord, I think you didn't put the first part of your question. Discord, does the first part of your question include a link? Because if there's a link in your post, it's just muting it. Barbie Burninator says, thanks, Steven, for sharing your advice and tips. I always look forward to your streams and enjoy drawing while listening. Hope to catch you again soon. Take care. Always happy to have you here, Barbie Burninator, and always happy to help with the incredible Steven Zapata art streams. Truly. Yeah, Discord, I don't know what there must be something in your part 1 that is triggering the YouTube auto mod and making that post get not shadow ban, but just like, it's not even telling you, it's showing you that it's telling you that it sent it, but we're not seeing it over here. Oh, yes. Diagono's post reminds me. I got cut off. I was saying earlier the setup that... Okay, so Diagono says, arriving late to the talk, in theory, also getting a circular polarizing filter should help reducing the glare. It's a glass you put over your lens of the camera. Any camera will work with it. Yes, so my setup... Okay, so there's a whole other world of trying to reduce glare, not just in pencil drawings, but on oil paintings, where the other setup that people... swear by is doing polarizing filters. And now that'll help. The polarizing filters will help. They'll do a little bit. The problem is that they do also change the exposure. So it's like you have to have a good enough camera because pencil drawings are already very low contrast and the lines are very dim over very bright paper. So it's like changing, losing the light, the exposure that a filter adds does have to be factored in. But even beyond that, if you want the real elimination of glare, it's a polarizing filter on your lens, and you can get a polarizing filter on your lights. So if you polarize the lights and you polarize the lens, you can get very directional light coming out of the light and then only receiving very directional light coming from the paper or the canvas. That people do this for photographing oil paintings. And if you set it up right, you have to math out the angles, right? And you actually have to get a protractor and position the lights at particular angles so that they're outside of the angles of incidence for the polarizing filter that's on the camera. You can actually eliminate glare. It will completely disappear. That setup has never been, I've been advised by people to do it. In fact, Stan Prokopenko actually was the first one to turn me onto it. He laid it out for me how to do it. And he uses it for things. But the problem is that you need a totally permanent solution for that, which I knew I would never have. Being, living in New York, space is at a minimum, so you're always going to have to shift things and move things and put things away. That setup does work and can completely eliminate glare, but you can basically never move your lights or your camera. If you move the camera, if you move the lights, the angles change, and then when you come back, you need to re-get out the protractors and correct the angles again to get the polarizing filters to do their work. So it was never for me. I never wanted to go that far with it. The level that I'm at now, when I actually have the soft boxes at the correct angles, I like that. That's good enough for me. When it hits the sweet spot, it really feels like I've got no glare for my eye or for the camera. Hola, Steven. Saludos desde Guatemala. Salutations from New York City. Steven, your old apartment which came with the traffic noise, was that place in Brooklyn? Yeah, the place that I lived, it's not in Brooklyn, but yeah, the apartment that was not my last place, but the place before that. So I moved out of there in when the heck did I move out of there? End of 2022. The place that I was in before end of 2022. Yeah, that was in Queens, not Brooklyn, but I was very close to Brooklyn. Damn, that place was loud. Damn, that place was loud. To let you know how loud that place was and how bad the traffic was, the place I moved into after that was near an airport, and it was quieter than that place. It was near a major international airport. When my mom would come in to visit, I would pick her up from the airport. I would drive 5 minutes to pick up my mom. That place was still quieter than the place before it. That was intense. Discord email, why can you not write this? What is happening? Discord said, just going to rewrite it, gang, and then sends, it's stopping me from getting things done. Should I just do one or the other? And then, okay, I'm dumping my iPad in there. What happened? What happened? Oh. This is a pretty late stream for me, huh? Late nights with Steven. Hey, Nabs. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It really is me. John Vickman says, this is so unrelated to art maybe, but I was wondering if you've heard of David Goggins, Stephen? Yes, I have. A lot of people say I'm the David Goggins of art. Yeah. I've never actually watched his content, but I get that all the time. Stephen, you're the David Goggins of art, so. Because of that, I assume I'm more famous than he is. What is happening to Discord email? I mean, what the? AI and you, are you going to change your description with the new link? The form for imagination link should still be working. It just forwards you to the new URL. Once the new El Curso is out, then I'll update all links and stuff like that. There'll be a lot of links, a lot of buttons, a lot of text, a lot of posts, you know? Things to do. You know, putting the word out there. Marketing. Marketing. Brand. Market. Marketing. Brand. Brand awareness. Brand awareness. Marketing. Is this the 18 by 24 Strathy? This is 14 by 17, I think. I ripped the cover off this one. This has, yeah, this is 14 by 17. I haven't looked at paper in a long time. I'm like, wait, how big is this? 9 by 14? 12 by 14? Forget what the other sizes are. There's a 9 by 12. Is there a 12 by 14? I forget. This is 14 by 17. Where's the Steven Zapata merch? I don't know what merch I could give you. What do you want? The Steven Zapata fitted, like a hoodie? Or the Steven Zapata fitty? The fitted snapback? The... You want the Steven Zapata thong underwear. I knew it. It's a ferocious monster on the front. And then on the back, it's a Pentel Sharp 0.5. Coursing right up your butt crack. Just like that. That would sell well. I really should make that. You're at the beach with the boys? You have the beach towel off? You're in the thong? Steven Zapata thong? Your boy's gonna be like, whoa! What the fuck? Is that Rimmon and his attendant demons? On your fucking thong? That's tight, bro. Daps all around, obviously. Okay, did we finally get the question? Discord email says, Steven, I'm currently stuck in a loop of prepping. Should I just dive in? I want to learn, but I feel like it still didn't get there. Still couldn't get it up. I want to learn, but I feel like I can't right now. I still want to learn, but I feel like I can't right now. So I'm trying to fit it into my refinement of drawings, but it's preventing me from getting things done. Should I just do one or the other? Okay, I got to parse this out. Should I just do one or the other? It's perfect. Stuck in a loop of prepping. Should I just dive in? Yes. Yes. If you have to ask, if you need to dive in and you feel you're in a loop of prepping, it's because you are. You need to dive in. Just finish it. Just finish it. Planning pictures and prepping is very tricky, very dangerous because, one, it's fun. It's highly productive, but it needs to be in balance. You know, you can't just prep and never finish pictures, you know. You need to prioritize both. Most people struggle to finish anything, you know, and they haven't spent any time in the finishing part of drawing. So you're probably good on prep, you know, and you get better at prepping and planning and designing the more time that you spend actually finishing things, because then you actually know what you need in the prepping stage. So yes, go finish. Whatever you were prepping, just you're done prepping and now commit, I'm going to spend 100 hours on it. You'll be good. Also, congratulations on, you prepped a long time to send that message. And you did it. You know, you finished the message. Good job. Yeah, put on your Zapata bikini briefs and dive in. Have you played the new Deltarune chapters? Do you plan to? I don't know what that is. What's Deltarune? Deltarune. You thought the runes were done? Wrong. Prepare for Deltarune. The next in the rune saga. Dual rune wasn't enough. Now it's Deltarune. What's up with AI, Steven? I don't know. They lost the fight. AI is so stupid. I don't know, man. I don't know. If I had to say today how I feel about AI, I'm not worried about it. I mean, that's not to say I don't take it seriously. You guys know I take it seriously, but I'm like, man, they had nothing. They had nothing, and they have completely lost any goodwill with people and people's attention, and just nobody likes this crap. You know, and they're obviously not delivering anything. I mean, the AI stuff is so funny. It's like, for all the talk and all the problems, like it has not made like one good thing. Just, it can't do anything. They haven't been able to. Where is it? Where is the art that you claim you're making? It's nothing. It's just Goku with tits. Goku with tits. That's it. So many Gokus. So many Gokus with tits. And that's it. My whole Discord follows up saying, to be honest, Steven, my whole thing is that I'm trying to come up with a good process to learn effectively, because there might be some plateau moment going on. You're psyching yourself out. I'm telling you, man, I've worked with so many students who, whatever you're doing, I've worked with students who are like just way deeper in. They're like flashcards, you know, apps that flash flashcards, and just like art is a science, and I'm going to make it objective. And, you know, they're reading all these books, you know, and they're like, people have discovered the exact way to make sure that you can get long-term recall on small bits of information. And that's obviously the objective way to learn anatomy. And it's like, they've got all these systems and mind palaces and all of these apps helping them and things like this. It's like, they all fall off. That is not making art better. It's putting more useless burden on something that people have been doing perfectly well since they were drawing with ash on the inside of a cave. It's not making you better. And you're not ever going to discover the most effective, good process to learn effectively. No one knows what learning is. No one knows what art is. No one knows how the brain works. Nobody you're going to make it all conceptual. You're forgetting that the real thing that happens with art is that the body makes art. The real process of improving at art is, it's not about concepts and things you can say about a process that lead you to the right and good way to do things. It really is much more about like tendon ratios. Like, it's more like you are sculpting your body unconsciously to do the thing that it needs to do gloriously well. And there's no nitty gritty like concept, like thing to say, something to write down that will get you to that. It's doing it. I implore you, do not let yourself get pulled off track with all of that. Sit and draw happily. If you indulge this for too long, you will look back and you will find that the plateau was built upon the indulgence in ratiocination about art, and thinking that all of the chatter in your fucking head was actually some material, useful end towards art. It wasn't. It's like, just draw. You need to spend some significant fraction of your life applying lines. And that's always going to be the most important thing, no matter what. Reposting just in case you didn't see it from Cody. If you did and are bored of tech questions, that's okay. What mic do you use? I need a new one. Yours has great quality. This is the Rode NTG5, which I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure I would just blanket recommend it to everybody. It's a shotgun mic, and I got it because I knew I wanted to stream, and I don't like having a microphone in my way while I work. For a lot of people are going to prefer the dynamic microphones, like the famous podcast microphone, the Shure SM7B, or the Electro Voice, 790 or something like that. The ones that you see all the podcasters using. For noise reduction and things like that, like if you have background noises going on, if you want to run your AC, those mics are going to be better, get you better audio quality. But they get you better audio quality because they have the proximity effect, so they need to be like right here on your face, and I just don't. Maybe if all I did was digital, I could arrange that, but I knew I wanted to do traditional on stream and stuff like that. It's just like, I can't have that freaking thing in my face. So I wanted a shotgun mic because I could put it over there, and it's out of my way. It's not in front of my screens. I'm free down here. I can move my hands. So I went for a shotgun, which is if no one knows what a shotgun is, like a boom mic when you see like behind the scenes in Hollywood. The guy holding the pole and there's the little straight mic going down. That's what I have here. So I put it over my head, and that's my microphone. But yeah, there's consequences. You get more. You get to have distance, and it still sounds natural and good at a distance, but you get more background noise from this than you do from a dynamic microphone. It's going the way of NFTs. Yeah, I feel that way too. Fabio says, yeah, diffusion models put AI into the public hive mind, but in the end, it fucking sucks. And the real threat is now back towards the devs themselves. Yeah, powerful tools for coding and different AIs. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird time. We'll see what happens with the Disney lawsuit against Midjourney. Disney, what was it? Was it Universal? Disney and Universal suing Midjourney? Midjourney deserves whatever they've got coming to them. Steven, have you played Expedition 33? I have not. I have not played anything in a while. Working on the new course. I've been in intensely busy mode for a long time. Hi, nobody. Daryl Grant says, seeing you sketch always reminds me that it's okay to loosen up at the start because you always bring things around so well with a few patches of shading. Oh yeah, I mean, you gotta let it rip. There's no reason to be afraid of drawing 900 million out of the trillion that you're gonna do, you know? And you do actually have to be quite exaggerated with the energy at the beginning if you have any hope of it showing through as you develop things further. Because the more you work on a drawing, it gets more boring and boring and boring, and it loses its pizzazz. So it's like start it at 150% so that as you make it more boring, it winds up at 80% if you're lucky. Hello, Lachlan. Thank you for streaming, Stephen. My pleasure. My pleasure. Felipe says, hey, Stephen, missed you. Cheers from Brazil. Cheers from New York. Hope all is well in Brazil. These drawings are giving Skeletor? Yeah, hell yeah. They are Skelemans, so it's all adding up. Do you think there is such thing as polishing a turd in art if you're enjoying your time and learning from it, even if it's not the next Mona Lisa? I mean, no. Well, enjoyment supersedes everything. Enjoyment supersedes everything. There's definitely, you know, within context, polishing a turd is definitely a thing. It's like, but it's less about, you know, what are other people going to think of a turd? It's like, you're going to think it's a turd. That's the problem. The worry about polishing a turd, like, oh no, people are going to know that I spent too much time rendering something that actually has bad foundations. It's like, who cares what they think? The problem is that you're going to look at it the next day and you're going to be like, why'd I render this stupid thing? Like, it's so dumb. That's the real problem with polishing a turd. But that's within a context, you know? You had another vision. There was something you needed to accomplish and you didn't build that into the sketch, things like that. Enjoyment on its own is more important than anything. It'll supersede anything. So it really depends where you're putting your priorities. Like me, right now, all I want to do is enjoy. I haven't drawn in weeks with all the stuff I had going on. So it just feels good to scritchy scratch. So I don't care how it comes out, or really what I'm doing. And then once I'm back in the groove, then I can get back to thinking about the other considerations. What drawings I had in mind. What other things I'm trying to do here. The last stream that I did, I was working on Adam naming the animals. I want to get back to that. Oh, easy dogs. The dog scratching at my door does remind me that I do have to walk. I gotta walk some doggies. We've been going for a couple hours here, 2.5 hours. And really the main thing that I launched the stream because I was like, I need to test the setup. When you got a new streaming setup, you could run all the preliminary tests you want. The real thing you have to do is just go live. That will reveal the problems. But I think everything went well. I think we tested the setup and went swimmingly. I don't know. I got no drop frames. Everyone seems to think the audio sounds fine, ignoring the dog barks, of course. Doesn't seem there was any stability issues. I don't know. I'm very happy with it. Got lucky. I've never had the first stream in a new setup go well, ever. This is the only time it's ever happened. So I'm going to start signing off here very soon. I will be around. Watch out for more info on the new design course later this week. We're closing the list of just the little things that we got to do to get it ready for you all to watch. Thanks, Gemmel. Chaplain222 says, I've been dealing with a problem where I feel my drawings are too attached to the basics and the planning part. Most of my drawing time is spent on practice. Is there a way to break this habit? You know, without knowing the details of your situation, it's always hard. But if you feel that way, yeah, you probably are spending too much time practicing. Is there an easy way to break out of it? No easy way. It's a very common problem in the current era. Just practicing, building skills, and never making the dream pictures, never actually doing the pictures that you want to do. There is no easy way, and I find that for most people, the thing that actually helps them break the habit is, unfortunately, painfully coming to terms and accepting that the situation is worse than they ever imagined. You know, that's really the big thing. You need someone to grab you by the shoulders and shake you and remind you that you only have limited time. You only have limited time. There is no guarantee that you're going to do all of the things that you wish you would do with art. It feels very special to you. It feels very like it's gotta go right? Like we all feel, because art is so personal and deeply connected with us, and we're riding on the tip of the spear that is the narrative of our art journey, we feel like it's gotta work out. It's gonna work out for me, you know? And the truth is that, no, it doesn't have to work out for you. It doesn't. A great picture, just one, a picture that is done beautifully in the broad sense of the word, that says something that the artist really cares about, that comes from a unique place and is something that only they could have made and is a contribution to the great canon of art. Just one of those is beyond the reach of most people. If you can make one, a great thing has been achieved. You can waste all of your time, all of the time that you will have with art. You can waste it drawing shit you do not care about. Drawing boxes, doing practices that you hope look good when daddy walks into your room, so that he sees that you are actually working very hard and that art is a serious pursuit. You've got to get over that. You've got to do the things you really care about. You needed to start yesterday. And you needed to be obsessed with achieving the dream pictures, with doing what you really want to do. Stop putting walls in your way. Stop lying to yourself and telling yourself that you can't try it, that you can't work on them. until you've drawn 50,000 boxes or you know anatomy head to toe. It's a pernicious, pernicious lie. Our current online art culture basically forces it on everybody, because if you've never been to art school or anything like that, like listening to people like me on YouTube and things like that, we have to speak in generalizations because it's asynchronous, right? So we inevitably have to talk about generalizations, how to get better just in a broad sense because we don't know what the hell you're working on, right? But you have to push back and fight against that current and prioritize you and what you want to do, the real thing, the projects. Again, I can only make this land if I really make it clear how bad the situation is. It's worse than you think. It is statistically overwhelmingly likely that you will die with the best of your creativity trapped inside of you. Or life will just take away your opportunities. Someone you love will get sick and you'll need to take care of them and you'll never have art. You'll never have time to make art again. Never. You have no idea when that day's coming. I hate to say that's just what life is. You think you have a great job that makes you financially secure, and that you'll always be able to put your time into art. Gone, like nothing. You have no idea what's going to happen. You'll lose that job, that career will evaporate. The world will change. Again, you'll just get sick. People just randomly get sick with diseases that they'll never recover from. It could happen any day. The situation is much worse than you think. If you're serious about something you want to do with your creativity, you need to not dilly-dally. You need to not bullshit. You need to start yesterday. You need to start yesterday. I hate to say it. Drawing pictures you don't give a fuck about is not going to get you there. Just isn't. Just isn't. It's not fun for me to say. It's probably not career expedient or financially expedient for me to say things like that to people, but it's the freaking truth, It'd probably be better for me if, I could sit here and say things like, the best thing you could do is do Inktober's. And you'll get so good at drawing with ink. Sorry, all my friends who love that stuff. It's like, yeah, do it. But if you're doing that and doing shit you don't care about, you're wasting your fucking time. How did artists become so comfortable wasting their time, their only life, the only chance? God damn, the fact that you can even think about art means you're so lucky. Like, you're not, there's no gun to your head. You have food to put in your belly. You're just going to waste it, Artists used to have steel, They were making art about their fucking religion. Because they believed it, They were philosophizing with their pictures. But oh, how fallen. In this abject posture have ye sworn to adore the conqueror. Awake, arise, or be forever fallen. Your chances are slipping away, everyone. Do things you care about. Don't let your art become small. Connect with it. And God damn it, if things go well, help others. Help others. I know that you're all lacking in psychic bandwidth right now. It's understandable. You're just trying to figure yourself out. How are you going to make good art? How are you going to connect with the practice? How are you going to have good experiences? I get it, you need to go through it, but for the love of God, once things start going well, when you have the deep connection, help others. Art it's in the shitter right now. We're taking bad blows like AI, not when we're in our golden age, but when we're in a retrobate age. Most artists are in darkness, lost. If you find any light in your life, help others. Please, please. Yeah. I don't know. I hope that helps somehow. Don't waste your time practicing and doing things you don't care about. You know. Practice is only good, only righteous when that practice is, you know with your whole heart that the practice is towards the particular thing that you want to do. You know, don't you ever waste time practicing because, you know, it's what some teacher you don't even want their life, and that's, you know, you're going to do what they said, or God damn it, you know, you're practicing because it'll make mom and dad proud, or because your brother doesn't practice enough and you want to be better than your brother. I mean, I say these examples because it's laughable how many people these are actually their motivations. You know, it's not gonna pan out well. It's not gonna pan out well. You need to find out what you really care about. What is this thing to you? And focus on that. Fuck what everybody else says and thinks. Jeff says, I love this segment. I'm the dad you talked about, walking in the room, making sure my kid did his lesson in your class. He keeps doing the same ones over and over instead of pushing all the way through. You gotta push through. You don't think I'm philosophizing while making my Minotaur smut? I mean, that is what it's the difference between drawing anime girls and drawing anime girls for spiritual reasons. That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. All right, everybody. I'm gonna run. I got some dogs to walk. Again, I will see you all very soon. Watch out for more info on the design course this coming week. Yeah, and I'll have many more details for you. And I will see you all again on a stream very soon. And at some point soon, I'll give you I'll give you the life update on what the hell has been going on. All right, everybody. A goodbye to Colin Gallagher, to Discord email, who did finally manage to get that message out. Goodbye to Jeff E. Goodbye to Tu Vieja. Goodbye to Chady on Fire. Goodbye to Carl Frank Art. Goodbye to Jawa, to Jorge. Whoa, I missed it. Jorge Ramirez. Chaplin 222, Roundbrush. My sweet, sweet Marziliano Sculpts. To Daryl Grant. To Smoojje. To Diagonal Yellow. Goodbye. Goodbye, Fabio Paiva. My old friend. Mach 22. Lackland F. Knob. Jeff E. sends the triple red diamonds. Red Diamond Man. That's the quieter nighttime version. It's a quieter nighttime version. Goodbye to Kyo. Goodbye to Cody. Goodbye to Sky Crow. Goodbye to V. Binchis, Sam Kelly, Renola Dominguez, Daryl Grant, Mega Man. That's an interesting question. That's an interesting comment from Mega Man too. Oh, and the indefatigable Stephen Green coming in right at the end. Damn shame. You handsome son of a sailor, I just got here. Would if I only didn't have these dogs to walk. Good to see you, Steven. We gotta talk soon, man. Catch up. We gotta catch up. I'm coming out of it now. Obviously, here I am on the internet, so I'm coming out of it now. I'm shocked you remember the song. Come on, man. Naturally talented musician like me, of course I remember my melodies, my arrangements. Genetics of a 9-year-old girl singing Ave Maria at a funeral, come on. Come on. What sort of doggos? Little doggos. Little yappy doggos. Stream soon, Steven? I will. Oh, I will. Adios, Nisto. Blacksun says, Steven, hello. I need advice, actually. Catch me on the next stream. I'll give you that advice. I'm leaving now. I had fun drawing. And now I rest. First drawings I've done in weeks. Fun. A lot of fun. Felt good. Love the scritchy scratchy. Love the dust. Love the dust. All right, everybody. Peace. Happy drawing if you're drawing for the rest of this evening. And I will see you all soon. Goodbye now.